What area of mathematics is involved? Percentages. Right? Then you've got to work out the costs of the coffee, what you buy it for, what are you going to mark it up by as a percentage to make a profit out of it. How much are you going to pay the people? To work that out, you have to, rather than just paying them the award rate, it's casual pay, so you can pay them whatever you like. So then you have to work out how much you're going to pay them to make a profit out of it. So you work out how long it takes to make a coffee, how many coffees can you do in a day, how much money does it cost to, like, for the resources to produce that, how much money can I make out of selling it, what have I got to sell it for to make a reasonable profit, what's my percentage profit just on that, take out wages, what's my percentage profit now, all of that. So you actually get them, and every week, I do this over about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. At least one day a week, I would start a lesson by doing what? To engage them back with the idea of what the hell it is and why they're doing it. I'd have another coffee day. I'd have another coffee day. And what I'd also do is do things like I would invite other people to come in and get them to make coffee for whoever comes in. What's the purpose of doing those things? You go, it's not mathematics, but why do it? How does it help?
It engages them and does relate it back to real life.
That's right. And like if you had the principal come in and the class invited him to come in and be a part of their coffee shop and they make him a coffee, even though you might look at that and go, it's a waste of time, we're not doing mathematics. The point is, the engaged mind, if they've got a reason for doing it, learns a lot faster than the disengaged mind. So if you just started teaching this like this, as pad and a pencil, how engaged are the students going to be in year 11?
Not very.
Not very.
You could also bring in ratios with the making of the coffee.
There's all sorts of things you could do. Yeah, look at the coffee itself. What's the ratio? And you can do things like, what's the magic temperature for a cup of coffee? You know?
Yeah.
And you know, this is a fascinating thing. I make a lot of coffee. We had a cafe. When you take milk and you start heating it, you know how you put it on the thing and as it starts to heat, if you listen to it, the pitch of the sound it makes drops, and it always happens at 65 degrees. Because what happens is when the milk gets to, because I've used this as a sciencey one as well in chemistry.
That's what I was thinking, that's why ratios
That's
and
right.
stuff.
When you get to 65, the temperature causes a chemical reaction to occur in the milk. And the chemical composition of the milk changes, its consistency changes, so the vibrations which produce the sound we hear change because the substance doing the vibrating is different. So it changes pitch, it drops. That's why you can make a coffee when you're heating the milk and you don't have to have a thermometer. You know, as soon as you hear that pitch drop, you know it's 65 degrees. Isn't that magic? I thought it was exciting. But anyway, but what happens is, here's an interesting one. I have long bladders. What you do is, there's my cup. All right. You initially put the shot in the cup. That shot is going to be a certain temperature. Right? It just comes out of the machine at whatever temperature it is. You then put water in it, and my machine puts the water in at 93 degrees. So it then goes up, first foot. That automatically gives you the concept of, ratios. What is the ratio of coffee to water? Or the proportion of coffee in the whole drink. You can also do a double shot, right? So what I do is, in science, I do an experiment. I take single shots and double shots and get the kids to drink it and decide if the taste of a double shot is qualitatively double that, twice as strong as a single shot. No, rubbish like that. But anyway, so then you can do proportions out of it. But then what you can do is things like let it sit and see over time, look at time, temperature, and you can look at the rate at which the temperature decreases. So you end up with a graph. You could put on your condition of your shop, what you give to them is, when we sell a coffee, it must always be a minimum of 75 degrees. So what's the length of time from the point of making it that I can have it delivered to a customer. You don't tell them how to do it. You give them that activity, and then they have to work out how to do it. This is just as much maths. You can do this in maths as just as easily as you can in science. Right? Does that make sense? Right? So that's something else you could do. Okay. If I did that on a pad and pencil, teacher up the front bleating on again about how to add decimals and turn a decimal into a fraction, as opposed to doing it within this context, which would you prefer to do?
The coffee.
I'd do that because I love coffee anyway.
I hate the smell of it. It makes me sick.
Oh,
I don't drink
The
coffee
first-
or tea, so I have no idea.
oh heathens!
Kids drink coffee.
The wife and I, first thing of the day, I'm like, you know Garfield?
Yeah.
You're like him. He can't start the day without his cup of coffee either. Anyway, but you can do something like that to set up a context that allows you to do everything that's in there and a hell of a lot more. So this one context can run over a length of time. If you pick a good one, what you can do is you can start off in this framework. You set them up an activity. The questions you pose require this work. But once you get to the end of that, you tack a few more questions on.
I was going to
which
say
might
both
take you into that
graphs would relate to exponential graphs.
Exactly right.
So you could relate that back, or link that to the new topic.
And you know Brunner's spiral curriculum? What Brunner says is our curriculum should be doing this. And you might have this activity might be done there. You go off onto other things, but then you come back here or somewhere else in the process. You're doing a different thing, like graphing of exponentials as opposed to arithmetic. And what you do is you use the exact same context you use here. You use it here and change it so it uses different work. When you do that, when you know cognitive load theory, if you use the same context of making coffee here, everything that you did there gets activated. So you might come back a month later or 2 months later, they walk into class, they sit down, and guess what's sitting on the front table?
Coffee.
The coffee machine, and you have another coffee day. And this time you go, okay, last time we had our coffee shop, you had to do this. This time you have to do that. And so you use the exact same context again. That way you don't have to re-engage them. If they had a good time last time, they will start. That's where they start this time. You don't have to re-engage them with the idea. All that existing knowledge comes back to the fore. So this new context builds on the old context. Make sense?
I'm sorry if I missed it the first class, but there were some changes to the syllabus.
Oh yeah, that's not that far back, yes.
So what changes have there been to the syllabus?
Very good question.
'Cause
I don't know and I don't care. You know why? I've been teaching maths for 30 years. Guess how much what you actually do in the class has changed?
Not much.
Diddly squat. Are we still going to do this?
yeah.
Tell me something that's different about what you do in terms of the content. Like the syllabus changes regularly, but what you do in the classroom usually doesn't change that much.
I've noticed with the new syllabuses, because we did look in science, a lot of what has changed is the front bit, catering for other students, different types of students with disabilities, Indigenous, multicultural. That's the main change I've noticed, just looking at them and comparing them.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's what the syllabus says. Whether you cater for individual difference in the classroom is something that you do. And people really, they don't read the syllabus and go, I must cater for individual difference more. It tends to be something that you're supposed to do as a qualified, competent teacher. You know, so really the change, in my view, when it comes down to what you will do in the classroom, it won't be that different. They sometimes change rules about how many hours you have to do things for and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And that stuff you need to pay attention to, but usually that's the head of department anyway. Because they'll look at it, they'll change the program, the work program in the school to reflect the changes in the rules that the syllabus applies. And then they will tell you what changes there are.
I'm pretty sure, at least with the new science, senior science syllabus, there's a lot more practicals
Yep.
in it. So the assessment schedule's changed from what it used to be, but it's not implemented until next year, so we'll see what happens. Because I know a lot of, just from when I did my prac, a lot of teachers are disputing a couple of things in it before they're going to try and implement it. So depending on what all the unions do will be dependent on how soon it actually is put in schools.
What I would say is this is the sort of thing they're trying to get the syllabus to see a lot more of. Like in both, not just in science, but in maths and all sorts of. They're trying to make what students do in school much more applicable in the real world. It's about helping students to understand the real world and their place in it. But anyway, so how about that for an activity? If I was going to do that, it would bore me stupid to sit up in front of a class with a pad and pencil and say, kiddies, today we're going to learn how to convert a decimal to a fraction. You know, you big, fat, hairy yawn. Right? But if I had to do it as a part of when I'm making them coffee or they're making me a coffee, that would be a rip-snorting bit of good fun. So, anyway. But the reason for doing things like getting the principal to come in and sit down, not only are they doing the mathematics, but they are learning how to make a cup of coffee. And what they're doing, the principal comes in and says, oh, thanks, that was a great cup of coffee, really, really well done. And you get them to give him a bit of a blurb or her a bit of a blurb about the mathematics behind what they've actually done. They go, okay, we want to have a coffee machine in the school. This is the costs associated with running it. We'll make the coffee. This is what the school gets out of it. You know, something like that, make it real. But anyway, strange for mathematics, I grant you, but...
O'Connor actually does have a coffee machine. They do it once a week.
Yep.
And the kids in food tech or something in year 11, 12 come in and make the coffees and have to do it specifically to every different teacher's demands.
Yep.
And like after so many days,
yeah, extending on your idea, we've just talked here about long blacks. You have to have a different model. Your model has to cater for different variables. That is, how many different types of coffee are there? All right. What can we expect? How are you going to know if we make our business model based upon this percentage of the coffees we make are long blacks? And why does a long black, you want something that really creams my corn? Because I drink long blacks, which is a shot in water. The people who drink a shot in a glass full of milk, which costs probably twice as much more, I pay the same as they pay. It creams my corn. But anyway, but you have to have a model that caters for the different coffees that you're going to make and the model that they generate. And see, this is the modelling aspect. This one context has the potential not only to address this one thing. If we go down the list of all of the other different things that are in year 11, let's see what the potential is. Okay, there's basic algebra. Can we do plane geometry with it?
you could probably bring cakes into it.
You could. Get them to design a... we have to do things like angles at a point, transversals, all this sort of stuff. What you could do is have a competition where people have to design the marketing logos and stuff. And you set the criteria for what it's got to look like. You're the client. This is what I want it to look like. And you talk about, in the criteria, you talk about all of these sorts of things. All right? Because this is all basic stuff like exterior angle properties, congruence of triangles. All right? So, and when they produce their design, what you do, like for congruence of triangles, tests for congruence,